So today we have Dr. Hasina Saran with us, and she has her PhD in applied maths. She's a parent of two lovely kids, Ahan and Ira, and I'm thankful that she's ready to have and she's willing to give this time to discuss about Ahan. Hi, Hasina.
Hey,
Welcome.
Dr. Thank you so much. This is such a topic close to my heart, right? So I'm more than happy, for you to give me this opportunity. Thank you for that.
Thanks, Dr. Hasina. So if I would want to start, I wouldn't want to start with the diagnosis and the age and all of it. Would you tell me where is Ahan now? How old is he now? I remember that little fellow, but like, where is he now? Where has the journey brought you so far?
Yeah. Ahan will turn 15 this August. He is like so much more taller than me, right? He now does things for me, right? Makes me coffee and gets my clothes. If my phone is not charged, in the morning I see that it's magically charged, and that's Ahan's doing. He can also make breakfast for me, like a simple omelette and a toast. So yeah, I mean, 12 years back, I couldn't even imagine this, right? But yeah, I mean, I no longer feel that I have a special child, or I no longer I never feel, that having a special child is something to worry about, because it's changed our life so completely, right? For the better. So yeah, I mean, Ahan, he is happy. He seems to be having a fulfilling life. So yeah.
Wow, and that's what we want for our kids, right? That they enjoy their life. And Ahan is also cycling these days, right? He's like I mean, how did you nurture that skill? How did you discover that he loves cycling?
Yeah, so when he was little, right? Before even he was diagnosed, right? He really didn't have any play skills, but one thing that he always loved, as soon as he started walking and then could, kind of manage some movements. This is between maybe towards the end of his year one, when he was about to turn two, was he always somehow liked, sitting on this cycle which had that pushing, thing, right? He couldn't really do the movements, but he somehow figured that, okay, if he keeps his leg, mama will push him and he'll get to see around, And this was a ritual that I constantly did, once he turned about a year and a half. Every time I came back from office, we would go to the park. We were in the US at that point of time. And you have lovely parks, right, very close by. So I would just make him sit, and we would just keep strolling around, without conversing too much, without, asking him to do. It was just like his and me bonding time, and this kind of, I think slowly, through his life, this became his best friend. That was something that cycling was something that was easier for him to do compared to all other activities. And I think because he couldn't make friends, he spent a lot of time in it, inside the house, outside the house. He would always be seen with the cycle. So that was something that came very naturally to him without me having to teach him or guide him. Even learning to ride without the side wheels. I think this was the only activity that he learned by himself without me having to push him and teach. So it kind of came a bit naturally to him. And all his whenever he was stressed, or he couldn't do things, put him being with the cycle kind of calmed him down. So he naturally, I think he chose the cycle, rather than we choosing it for him. And then I think I was able to provide him an environment which helped him to, cycle all the time. So whenever I went on trips, I would always carry his tiny cycle in the dicky, anywhere that I went. Even within the city, outside the city, that was how he kept himself occupied, busy, or away from the other stresses that he would face. Then during COVID is when because we were all stuck inside. Um, my partner and I and the kids, we started going to the trails for cycling every day, just to get out of the house. It used to be super quiet in the morning. There were no people, and we lived in a place where we had very good access to trails about 10-15 minutes from home. So we would just leave early in the morning and just explore for 2-3 hours every day. So this became kind of a ritual during COVID. And then as COVID ended, Ahan's father enrolled him in a race. And then, he just finished it. And we were surprised that he was able to do the 50 kilometers without much practice, because one of the things that our kids have is that, if they put their mind to something, right, no matter what, they want to finish it, they want to see the end of it, right? And that was a very strong quality that Ahan had. If he started something, he wanted to finish it, and especially if he had to do something with cycling, right, he would definitely want to finish it. And that's when we started, kind of thinking about putting him in a formal coaching environment. We got exposed to this world of road racing and MTB racing, and then that's how it evolved. And one of the things that I learned, as we put Ahan in a formal coaching, is that for kids like Ahan, it's actually easier to train. It's easy to train with kids like Ahan because you give him a coaching training plan. Maybe he has to cycle for 1 hour, 30 minutes every day, and he will do it, as a task without any questions asked. That was a quality that he had. He would put an alarm, wake up by himself, follow the plan. Yeah. And he would have trouble to interpret the directions given by his coach, right? And then I would have to sit and break it down, but slowly he learned that too. But the discipline that he had was tremendous, and this I realized is a strength for children like Ahan. Coaching for something is easy for them. May not be the case for everyone, but at least for children like Ahan, I could see that probably with my daughter, I have to remind her multiple times, or tell her that, okay, you have to do this coaching. But with Ahan, it was not the case. A plan was given to him. He would do it with all his grit and determination to the maximum extent that he could. He didn't look at the time. It could be a 3-hour training plan indoor, which probably any child would crib, but Ahan would just do it, so it kind
Perhaps
of.
because he enjoyed it. So that's what it is, that he enjoyed it so much, and it also gives him that proprioceptive input in a very, like what all adults want, So he's channelized it, and you've kind of, used it so well. So it's wonderful. And I love to see, the way he's evolving. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
So if I go back, say 12 years before, he got the diagnosis at the age of 3, right? He was
Yeah.
3 years old.
Mhm. Yeah, he had just turned 3, when he got the diagnosis. Yeah.
Mm. And what were the things that kind of made you feel, oh, there's something not going right there?
Yeah, so I mean, when I after the diagnosis, when I started looking back, is when I could see the signs. I mean, at that point of time, because I was a first-time parent, I missed a lot of signs. And also when I had Ira, and when she could do things, at 6 months, 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, is when I realized that Ahan had missed so many milestones. I wouldn't say milestones, but in general, right? The way Ahan grew and the way Ira grew were so dramatically different. And that's when I saw that there were little pieces that were missed. One thing is that even as a baby, he would just stare at something on the wall or in the ceiling. And as a new parent, we had no clue, right, why he would do that. Uh, you don't sit and analyze every single thing that your child does, right? I mean, you kind of just go with the flow. And so that is one thing that I can think about. The other thing is when he started playing, he would just constantly spin things all the time. Anything that he found, he would somehow manage to spin it. It looked like an art by itself. Like managing to spin anything.
Yeah.
Uh, and I also mentioned to you that I used to take him for walks, right? So when we went for walks, he would see these drains and he would be very obsessed with it, and he felt a bit disconnected with the entire world, and he would just be focusing on this thing, and this disconnection with the world kind of became a bit more prominent. When people would come home, it's not that he was completely disconnected also, but then when I compare him with my daughter Ira, right, that's when I realized how the disconnect looked. At that point of time, I couldn't understand the disconnectedness, because he would still smile sometimes at people. He would go to people, and he didn't have any kind of stranger anxiety, or not being around people, not liking being around people. So he didn't show these dramatic behaviors. So it was kind of difficult to really understand at that point of time, what were the symptoms. But then, yeah, looking back, there were these subtle differences, that were different from my daughter. And also, he was picking up words. He spoke very late. I mean, even getting sounds from his mouth, right? I wouldn't say speaking, but even getting the sounds were very late. He would pick up some words, but then when he turned to, he completely forgot. It's like, everything got erased, right? He completely stopped speaking. Even things like maybe plane, which he really loved, right? Pointing, looking at the plane, and pointing and saying plane. I mean, even such things he completely stopped. And that's when we thought that, okay, something was serious, we need to get it checked. But no one gave us a diagnosis till he was 3, because they wanted to give him time and really not kind of label him till it was a bit more clearer, I think, because he didn't have this super these symptoms which are very, very dramatically evident. They still wanted to give him time to evolve and grow a bit before giving a formal diagnosis.
So what age did he start talking and speaking and communicating, like how
Um,
we, speak?
Much older, Dr. Reena, and maybe he was even like 6 or 7. He had words, but he couldn't string it together,
Fine.
and even uh, communicate. And more importantly, he didn't know that he needs to communicate. He didn't feel the need to communicate or verbalize, so that came very much later. I think, like, seeing Ahan grow, I kind of stopped keeping track of dates and times. For me, I thought that, it doesn't matter if a child learns to count at 5 or 10, right? The main thing is he needs to understand what are numbers, why do we need counting. So I kind of really stopped keeping tab of, when did he learn to speak, or when did he learn to do certain things, because I just changed my whole principle of how I look at learning. It's learning has to be something not very time bound, but something that helps them lead a fulfilling life. Yeah.
Before you go, I wanted to check, have you checked my app? It has a 14-day free trial period. You get access to daily insights from me. You get my audiobooks, and you get all my masterclasses, my recorded courses, everything in one app. It has 3 levels of membership. But do try it for those first 14 days when it is free. I just want you to make the most of it and empower yourself so that you can help your child with more clarity. Thank you.